The 7 Deadly Sins. Envy. Let's start off with some popular quotes. Your biggest supporter is a stranger. Your biggest hater is someone you know. Or, never underestimate the power of jealousy and the power of envy to destroy. How about this? You know why strangers support you more than the people you know? Because people that know you have a tough time accepting that you come from the same place, but they are still in the same place. Envy. A resentful longing aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. However, it does not only stop there. It is the cruel desire for the person to be left with absolutely nothing at all. And for some, fulfilling their desire is the only way to move forward. The 20 Minutes Horror Stories. Presenting you with riveting tales of true ghost encounters, psychological horrors, and the twisted criminal minds. Please subscribe to stay tuned.
Welcome to the True Crime Podcast, and as always, this is your host Nicole Wong. I cover solved, unsolved, and sometimes ongoing true crime cases every week, so remember to subscribe for your weekly dose of true crime cases. Today, we will be looking at the most recent, still ongoing murder case of Celine Ong. What makes this case even more chilling and unsettling is the fact that it took place here in Hong Kong just a few days ago.
On hindsight, Nicole did sound a little bit too excited for this particular episode, describing who Celine Ong was in detail, as if she knew her personally. Nevertheless, if one had hired a team of researchers or had spent a couple of weeks to do a thorough research, even by themselves, on who Celine Ong was as a person, it was not hard to find information about her on the internet. Now, who was Celine Ong? Born in Hong Kong to a middle-class family in the 1980s, Celine was the only child of Mr. Ong, a bank manager, and Mrs. Ong, a property agent. They were not extremely rich, but well-to-do. Enough for them to support Celine to further her studies in London. She attended the London School of Economics, graduated with distinction, and came back to Hong Kong to pursue her career in investment banking. Last week, a huge news broke out, shaking the citizens of Hong Kong to its core.
A gruesome discovery of the dismembered head of a woman was found in a landfill early this morning. The decapitated head is believed to be that of Celine Ong, a 36-year-old investment banker, recently engaged to Marcus Tang, one of the most eligible bachelor in Hong Kong, son of a famous tycoon. The search for the rest of the body parts by the Hong Kong police force is well underway.
When evening came, most of the other body parts were discovered in the same landfill, wrapped up in several black garbage bags, carelessly severed and chopped into pieces. That day, the internet search for the name Celine Ong skyrocketed. The most notable found was Celine Ong's LinkedIn page, and videos of her appearing quite frequently on the financial news channel, speaking about the economy in the Asia-Pacific region. Yes, Celine Ong was a small-time celebrity in the financial world for the Asia-Pacific region. A well-liked guest speaker, beautiful and extremely intelligent, with a hint of cheekiness, not only whenever she appears on TV, but also behind the scenes. Men love her. Women want to be her. And a true testament to this is when one of the most eligible bachelors in Hong Kong, and the son of a tycoon, proposed to her in front of thousands on New Year's Eve, just over a month ago. The news angered thousands of women sending death threats her way. They were able to track down her social media and even residential address, forcing her to delete her social media accounts and eventually move to a new place. Just when they believed that the fury had died down, the whole nation was once again shocked by the recent news of the discovery of Celine Ong's decapitated head in the landfill. When it had dawned on people the gruesome reality of her murder, many were sickened and some saddened by the news, even the ones who had sent her death threats. Although you could find a handful of unrepentant ones, whose desire is to see her go through the worst, to be stripped of all possessions, qualities, or luck that she had clearly not deserved in their eyes.
Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in, and welcome back to the True Crime Podcast. This is your host, Nicole Wong. In our podcast episode last week, we managed to cover the gruesome murder case of Celine Ong, which shook the entire nation of Hong Kong. This week, we will be delving into the case even deeper, looking at the chronology and timeline of the whereabouts of Celine Ong, through some CCTV footage retrieved by the authorities the day before she disappeared.
Now, who is Nicole Wong? Why is she so interested in the murder case of Celine Ong? Is she just another random true crime podcaster, only jumping on the bandwagon, covering the most talked about true crime cases? No. Nicole's storyline and intention are not that simple. She had planned to include this particular crime in her podcast long before the murder even took place. She was a rising star in the industry. Not many people can tell stories as riveting as Nicole. She is so talented that one of the biggest tabloids in the country and arguably in the Asia-Pacific region had offered her a position as their writer-in-chief for their true crime segment. She gets to cover any true crime cases of her choosing that would be published fortnightly. And on top of that, she had garnered tens of millions of followers on her true crime podcast, earning her the same popularity as Celine Ong, her ex-best friend. Nicole and Celine were classmates. At school, teachers and schoolmates would often mistake them for each other. This was, of course, not by coincidence. No, as far as one could recall, it did not start off that way. In fact, they could not be more different than each other at the beginning. Nicole, with hair wavier than the average Chinese, skin too tan for her own liking, waist not small enough to fit into the tiniest qipao, and a set of monolith eyes, all of which are not too desirable for the East Asian beauty standards. Celine, on the other hand, was the very definition of an East Asian beauty. Silky straight hair, pale, porcelain skin, waist so small that she could easily fit into the tiniest qipao. And of course, a pair of beautiful almond-shaped eyes, blessed with natural, double eyelids. Both girls, stunning in their own ways. But Nicole wanted to be everything that Celine was. So, she had befriended Celine the first day they met at school. They hit it off immediately. Nicole had a way of using words, coupled with her amazing storytelling ability. There was not a single boring day that went by when you were with her. Celine, on the other hand, attracted all the right connections. The most popular, the smartest, and even the richest kids would gravitate towards her for her beauty and charm, her intelligence and wit. People could not get enough of her. Over the years, without being too obvious at first, Nicole had started to morph into Celine. It started off with her hair. When the Japanese straight perm had gained its popularity in Asia, in the early 2000s, Nicole would get her hair straightened. She was delighted when people would mistake her for Celine from behind. By then, she had also lost much of her weight, and because they were of the same height, no one could tell the difference between them if it were not for their faces. It did not stop there. Nicole would get her hands on all the whitening products that were available in the market just to make her skin as light as possible. She wanted to be as pale as Celine, and somehow, she managed to be a few shades lighter. She stopped going outdoors as much as possible, avoiding the sun like a plague. Anything it takes to have a fairer skin. Celine was not too apprehensive at first by these changes. After all, most of the girls who could afford it would go for the exact beauty routine to fit the mold. The day when everything would change was when Celine had found a piece of printed paper hidden between the pages of Nicole's textbook. It was of a picture of a pair of eyes, with the rest of the face cropped, but not enough to get rid of the mole above the left side of the eyebrow. As much as she had wanted to deny it, she knew that it was a picture of her very own eyes. Nicole had taken one of the many pictures that they had taken with each other, cropped, and zoomed in on Celine's eyes and printed it out. She was not sure what Nicole's intentions were, but had decided to pretend that she never saw it. After the incident, summer break would soon come. Well-to-do families like hers and Nicole would head overseas for their holidays, and Celine would forget about the whole thing. Only to come back to school the next month for the new semester, greeted by Nicole, who to her horror, had gotten herself a double eyelid surgery. Even worse, Nicole would act like nothing had happened, not a single mention about the surgery she had. Celine was offended. Not so much as to the fact that she had gotten the surgery, but because she had acted like nothing had happened, despite the obvious change. Ever since the incident, Celine had decided to distance herself from Nicole. Despite the popular saying, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, Celine was not happy to have a doppelganger by her side. And by luck, they were separated into two different classes, which made the transition away from Nicole much easier for Celine.
Police have taken into custody this morning a 36-year-old company worker, Linda Lau, believed to be a key witness to the gruesome murder case of Celine Ong, which took place 2 weeks ago. As more evidence surfaced over the past few weeks, police have confirmed that the victim had issued a restraining order against Ms. Lau just the day before her death. Nevertheless, CCTV footage recovered from outside the residence of Ms. Ong on the day she was found dead shows Ms. Lau violating the restraining order.
20 years ago, Linda Lau could be seen hanging out with Celine Ong and Nicole Wang every single day, even during the weekends. Celine Ong, the popular one. Nicole Wang, the one without a single dull moment in her life. And Linda Lau, the head prefect of the school, the teacher's favorite. When Celine and Nicole had drifted apart, the only thing that she could do was to pick a side. She could not be in two places at the same time, so she had picked Nicole. There was always a hint of jealousy whenever Nicole and Celine would do things without her. So, now that Celine was distancing herself, Linda felt secretly glad. It gave her the opportunity to plant the seeds of envy and hatred within Nicole, who herself by then had already developed a desire to see the downfall of Celine.
You know what she told me behind your back? She said you have the worst fat genes, 'cause all you can eat to stay slim are ice cubes.
Linda revealed the conversation she had with Celine, that was supposed to be in confidence, one day, to Nicole. Nicole, red in the face for having her secret revealed, started sharing some other conversations she had with Celine too.
Really? I guess it's true what they said. If they talk to you about other people, they'll talk about you too. You know what she said about you? She told me that you had sex with your cousin.
When Nicole saw the breaking news, all the blood drained from her face. How could she not know that Celine had issued a restraining order against Linda the day before she was killed? And what's worst, Linda was supposed to park her car a few kilometers down the street, where she had dropped Nicole off that night. Nicole had walked 2 kilometers, all the way to Celine's new residence, that only a few people knew of. Due to all the death threats that she had received, Celine would eventually move from her old place into a new place that was supposed to be a secret. But little did she know of the trap that she had walked into. A trap that would later cost her life. Thanks to her career path, Nicole had by now amassed a small fortune, together with an extensive network, ranging from famous politicians and even academics, all the way to the most dangerous underground triads, had found ways to manipulate the system to her liking. So much so, that she could lure the unsuspecting Celine into moving to a place of her choosing and to top it off, hire a hitman to finish her off. All without tracing it back to her. She was very confident of it. But now, she was not sure. She should have trusted her guts about Linda. Ever since her lover, Marcus Tang, had been snatched from her, Linda seems to have lost it, becoming increasingly unhinged by the day. At the interrogation room, where Linda was brought in for questioning in the morning, police officer could be heard asking,
Ms. Lau, why were you near Ms. Ong's residence the night she was killed and dismembered?
Linda remained silent. She had requested a lawyer to be present. She knew her rights. She was not about to go down as a killer. All she did was to continue having an affair with Celine's fiancé and dropping Nicole near to where the killing took place that night. They could only charge her as an accessory to murder, if at all. Furthermore, it was clear evidence from the CCTV footage that she did not get out of the car the whole time that it was parked outside of Celine's residence. She had only wanted to get closer to where it happened, to savor the moment out there, knowing that Celine's time was finally up. She had wanted to see if all the envy within her for Celine would dissipate at that very moment. A flashback from 1 year ago shows Nicole introducing Linda to Marcus Tang, her ex-boyfriend. Nicole knew that Marcus Tang was a playboy who can get any woman he wants with all the money and power he possesses. Nicole, who had fallen head over heels in love with Marcus, had made the hardest decision to leave him for good when he told her,
You know, babe, you're never going to be wife material for me. My parents will never approve of you. But you know what? We can still have fun even after we get married, you know, just you and me. It can be our secret.
Even then, Nicole knew she was not the only one and that she had meant nothing for Marcus. Only a plaything. So, to prove it, she had introduced Linda to him. And what do you know? Linda was his next plaything. A few months had passed since then, when rumor has it that Marcus Tang and Celine Ong were dating. Nicole had almost burst out laughing when she heard the news. Marcus Tang. The one who she had discarded. The one who could only see women as playthings. And now Celine was going to be his plaything, just like her and Linda. But her world came crashing down when Marcus had proposed to Celine. Publicly. Professing his love for her in front of thousands. That was when Nicole had planned Celine's execution. She had worked so hard to be as beautiful, as popular and as successful as Celine, but she was not Celine. She could never be Celine. Not her qualities, nor her luck, and certainly not her possession. Marcus Tang. If Nicole cannot have any of those, Celine sure as hell can't have them either. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.